Well, hello everyone, dance moms, dance dad, dancers, and this one is for you, fellow people who love gymnastics. I know I've seen you download Christy Phillips, Daniela Silvas, and now my inner 10-year-old kid, John, is screaming because before me on the podcast, who I've always wanted her on, is I have Missy Marlowe. She's a 1988 Olympian, a five-time NCAA champion, and she was just inducted into the Hall of Fame. And to me, she's a dancer, even though she said she didn't take a lot of dance classes. But please welcome to the stage, Missy Marlowe.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you. I love dance, but not a lot of formal dance training, but dance, who doesn't love to dance, right?
Well, yeah, you do love dance. And, speaking of, where did you get your, I think of you as a dance or who did gymnastics, and I know other dancers who follow you do as well, too. Where did you get your dance training from?
That's really flattering, John. Thank you. But I'm going to be honest, it's really not true. I had ballet in the gym, like back in the day in the 80s, we all took ballet at gymnastics and bar work and then simple work across the floor. That was mostly it. When I was 6 years old, I did a class at a really popular program at the University of Utah called Virginia Tanner Dance. They existed up until really just even a couple years ago. But that was it as far as formal dance training. Everything else came in the gym. And we really filtered through the choreographers. I had some fantastic dance teachers, but they were also my beam coach and my floor coaches. So really it was, I'm not trying to downplay the work that I put into dance, but it really wasn't very formal dance training. And Linda Fenton, who is a very well-known level 10 national rated judge and has been forever, good friend of mine's mother, Megan Fenton was a gymnast at UCLA. Linda was our ballet teacher. We weren't very good to her. We were typical gymnasts. We didn't like to listen. We didn't like to slow it down. We didn't like to do that really rigorous bar work, that ballet requires. But we did it.
And tendus and dégagés.
All that, the rondejambs, the whole bit. But I was flexible. And so that was my saving grace for dance, is I was very, very naturally flexible, like Nastya Lukin flexible. The downside to that is, especially in gymnastics, I wasn't very strong. And that held me back on tumbling and vault especially. But I was really flexible. So extension came pretty naturally to me and very easily to me. So then it was just a matter of working on arm positions. It wasn't hard for me to learn how to, instantly like jump and point the toes. Like that just sort of came naturally. And then I had various ballet teachers, the ones that wouldn't quit after a few months because we were not very nice to them and not super disciplined at ballet, work on that. And then, of course, later in my career, I had Donna Kozo and I had just some absolutely amazing coaches come along, like Tammy Biggs. I got Tammy Biggs almost alone for a year. And that's where the strength element of dance came in as it pertains to gymnastics. So not just relying on my natural flexibility, but learning how to control it, because that really was a problem, especially on beam. My legs I could split to 210 degrees, but learning to keep that in a straight line and not, end up on the floor instead of the beam was a whole nother matter.
So how did you, being at the Olympics, I'm sure there's at least a billion people watching you. How did you deal with your nerves there? Because I know some dancers are listening on how to deal with nerves.
Oh, it was really, really hard to stay focused. And I had particularly worked with sports psychologists for years before we ever got to that point, learning how to concentrate. When I was 14, I was really starting to struggle in competitions. And I was always the gymnast. I'd win every warm-ups I was ever in, and then usually my falls were only on beam, but I hated to compete beam, which is kind of ironic. Beam was the only event that I won twice in college as the national champion, but I hated to compete beam. I would practice beam all day long. It didn't scare me to throw anything on beam. I didn't need mats. I didn't need to take a lot of the steps and progressions that other gymnasts did. If I was straight on one layout in the air, I could decide to throw another one.
Right there in the moment.
Right there in the moment. But when it was time to salute the judge and compete, I just felt sick to my stomach. And I would watch competitors like Christy Phillips or Daniela or Phoebe Mills, whoever. And I just always wondered why I couldn't feel that naturally confident. I just wasn't raised to be by a super competitive parent that was, kind of like the Bella Caroli, oh, go get him, you got this. That I didn't develop that until college. So it's really hard for me to do that. But when you're at the Olympics, to go back, so I started working with a sports psychologist to try to hone that in and get better control of my body in competition.
When you say prior to the Olympics, do you mean 4 years? Do you mean 1 year?
When I was 14. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
When I was about 14, and because I was breaking down, getting like physically sick, just like strep throat or colds or whatever. And we're like, why is this always happening before these big meets? And it was, just from being stressed. And here in Salt Lake City, we actually happen to have one of the foremost sports psychologists in the country, Dr. Henson. He has since passed away, but he worked with the Utah Jazz and the University of Utah back in the heyday. He was on the board of directors for track and field. I mean, he was really, really well known. And so I started getting one-on-one with him. And it started really simple, but there's still things I use today. So like, for example, other than just kind of some general, a little bit of therapy, like how are you feeling? How are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. I would do things like I'd have to read a book and listen to music at the same time. And I'd spend a week doing it for an hour every night. And I'd have to tune out the music and read the story, read the book, whatever I wanted to read, and know what was happening in the book. And then the next week, and we talk about that. And then the next week would be the same, but I'd have to listen to the music and know the songs I was hearing, but still be reading. And then we talk about that. And then the third week would be both, like following a storyline in a book and listening to music at the same time and hearing the music, the songs, the words, and be able to key in on both. And so training your brain to handle a totally chaotic environment, like an arena or a competition setting, and I could do it. I mean, I couldn't do it at first, but I could do it. And that was really cool.
I think the cameras would be a new addition.
Yeah, anything. Someone yelling in the audience, a flash going off, just anything at all that could be distracting. Another thing that was kind of similar was learning how to like make yourself feel warm and heavy, because when you're constricted and you're nervous, you're always cold. Dancers are always cold if they're nervous. Gymnasts are always cold. Learning how to lay at night. And for like a week or two, it was comfortably heavy, right arm comfortably heavy, left arm comfortably heavy. And I'd go night after night after night, like counting down backwards from 7 down to 1 to where I could go lay in bed at night. So right arm comfortably heavy, and I would feel heavy. Left arm comfortably heavy, feel heavy, body, legs, and learn to relax that way. And then the next week was comfortably warm. My right arm's comfortably warm. Learning how to kind of control your body temperature and not feeling that coldness that kind of comes along with nerves. So
really getting into your body, it sounds like too, ironically, because ironically you're using your body, but you're kind of, no wonder why they say out of body experience. I never thought about that.
And those are things that work now, as an adult, they're awesome skills to have.
Well, we're going to do that right now, because I totally forgot in Dance Dad on the podcast, everyone, we do these 4 questions, and I'll do them with you. And they're, how are you feeling? Where do you feel it? What color is it? And what would it say if it had a voice? So how are you feeling this lovely afternoon, Missy?
Oh, I feel good. I was a little, I don't do podcasts. So, I wasn't joking when I said I ordered these on Amazon this morning so that I had headphones. I went from Safari to Chrome. I followed all the directions. I have my daughter on standby to make sure I did it right. But it's fun. I like to talk. I like to, but I wanted to get it right. And so anytime you care about getting something right, I think that adds just a little bit, your heart rate goes up a little bit, you notice things. So I was anticipating it, but I was a little bit nervous.
There's the athlete. That was the athlete in you. I feel so grateful, so joyful, so excited to be talking to. Believe it or not, I don't know if I ever told you this, but there was, I first of all, everyone knew that I competitively danced and did gymnastics, but it got too scary when they said do a double back. I was like, I'm going to go to the dance studio instead.
Yeah.
But I still loved it. And so I would get those international gymnastics magazines. And one time you were like the center, I'm pretty sure you were the centerfold. Like, well, that sounds weird.
That's okay.
You were the like gymnastics.
In a gymnastics magazine, it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were totally on my wall as a kid.
I love hearing that. It's nice. I mean, there were meets, and especially when I was in the American Cup with Christy in 1986. And of course, Christy came out of nowhere and won that competition. And it was a really cool thing, but we were signing autographs for hours and hours and hours. And that continued right up through college. And people ask all the time, don't you get tired of it? And I'm like, think about the alternative. How spoiled would you have to be to get tired of that? That means that no one's following you. You didn't do enough to be remembered. And I think I will never take that for granted. I think it's amazing that, and I appreciate because of your
gymnastics, but I will say it was because of your legs and feet, because in dance, we're taught to have, I think you were like I think you call it a planche on the beam and your legs were in a split.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was a full split, everybody. I'm going to post it on Instagram when this comes out. And your feet. So to me, I want to be able to do that in my solo, So what color is this goodness, excitement? Or where is it in your body first? Where is this goodness, excitement in your body?
I'm very digestive. I really feel most things in my stomach, whether it's flutters, warmth, I'm very digestive. So I tend to feel most things in my stomach. And I did go through therapy one time, not for anything gymnastics related, but kind of relationship things. And we were doing some stuff and everything was always in my stomach. It was kind of made me laugh. I'm like, I'm not hungry. I just feel things in my stomach. And my favorite.
Mine is it's funny. Mine is usually in my throat, which makes sense for me because ironically I have a podcast now, but I used to use dance as my voice, not as my literal voice, but today I feel it in my cheeks.
Interesting.
And what color is it in your stomach, this goodness?
That's a hard call because I've always loved red, but politically I'm not aligned with red. So I'm struggling with red right now. But I chose red on purpose. I wore this shirt on purpose because I love red. And I'd say my all-time favorite color is kind of the pink that's in the background of yours. Love pink.
Like fuchsia?
I like fuchsia. Yep. Deep, vibrant pinks. So somewhere between red and pink.
Your leotards for the NCAA?
Yeah, I was the first generation that Greg Marsden decided that we all looked too much alike, all of us with red and black. And we wore hot pink. And my sophomore year, it was fluorescent pink. It was very 80s pink. And then it went to a little bit deeper pink. And then they finally reined it back into school colors. But I've been asked about that before. Like, what was it like to wear these crazy colors at a college meet where you're so in tune with your school colors? And for some reason, the person interviewing me, I felt like they were expecting a little bit of a negative response, like, oh, we felt obnoxious or out of place or whatever. And I said, I loved it. I loved competing for someone that had so much confidence in us that it was like, we will do anything to show you off. I mean, that was so comforting to me. And because we were good when I was at the University of Utah, and we knew we were good, but there were other good teams too. And our coaches were in hot pink and white, even the men. And the belief that they had in us that we're not, we want to stand out any way we can, including, because your costumes are everything, your leotards are everything.
And back then they didn't have rhinestones, right? Now
Nope,
they do.
those weren't invented yet. I am completely
maybe look at
pre-rhinestone.
the rhinestone hat.
Yep.
I love rhinestones.
Oh, now there aren't enough rhinestones in the world now. But no, that was unheard of. I mean, I don't even remember if ice skaters really had fancy costumes yet, but gymnastics absolutely did not.
They did. I know what Nancy Kerrigan around that time started it. Ironically, I normally don't wear red, and today I felt to wear red.
Oh,
must be I'm in tune with you,
but
but
we got it. Love
because
that.
of the Olympics. So if this red in your stomach, goodness excited, had a voice, what would it be saying right now to everyone?
I'm so grateful that for the path that I got. Like everybody, it wasn't easy. I was raised by a single mom. We didn't have a lot of money. I was the only one that was really at that level from my gym. I'm from kind of a small town, especially back then. I mean, Salt Lake's not tiny, but we're not known for gymnastics. I was pitted against the kids from Scats in Southern California and the Parkettes in Pennsylvania, and then Corollis in Texas. Lots of other huge clubs that other gymnasts were flocking to. And I wasn't one of those. And it just all worked out. And it's so unlikely. And it's just something I'm so grateful for. And sometimes it still doesn't even seem real. And as I get older, it's just moving so far into the background of my life. But and you have to be the same way, John. Like, I will be sitting there randomly. I could be at a bar with my friends on Taco Tuesday, and all of a sudden I realize that I am feeling what it feels like to do a glide kip on bars. I don't know if I'm crazy. I don't know how weird that is, but I will never forget what it feels like. To do like a back handspring layout on beam, or 2 layouts on beam, or a full twisting double back, the things that were really hard for me, the things that didn't come naturally, the things that were super easy. I still feel that in my body. And I just think that's so lucky. That's so fortunate.
Is that what you loved about gymnastics, the feeling?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love the movement of it. Loved it. There wasn't, like I said, there wasn't a lot that scared me because gymnastics forces, a lot of kids are scared of it, and it forces a lot of kids out. But beam forces a lot of kids out. For me, actually, bars scared me the most, really. And tumbling and vault, I just wasn't very good at, but I'd try. I'd try all day.
I know Daniela on the podcast, she said every time, which I think is funny because she won a bronze on it, but she said she was terrified running towards that vault.
Mm-hmm.
Were you terrified?
Well, we were the first generation, to normalize your Chenko vaults. And they were dangerous. They were really dangerous. They're really not now. But back in the day, when Yurchenko first did it, we had the old leaf boards. We had no safety zones. We had the sideways horse. There were catastrophic injuries that happened all the time. No safety guards. And vault was terrifying. That's true. Luckily, it was only the last 2 years of my career that I had to do that vault. And then in college, it was
when I was watching the Olympics right now, I don't know if the commentators were being really dramatic, Bart Connor, but did you know how close you were to the vault when you did that Yurchenko in team finals?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Was just hoping to get through it, just survive at that point. I hated vault also, like Daniela. Now, she was so good she could hate something and be a bronze medalist at the Olympics in it. I was not that fortunate. But, the Olympics were interesting, John. They're like anything that is kind of the ultimate goal, and the Olympics are an ultimate goal. I don't think the appreciation for them sets in until long after. So when people say, oh, I bet that was fun. Was it fun? Was it hard? And I'm like, well, duh. Yeah, of course it was. Was it fun? I wouldn't characterize anything about the Olympics as fun. I don't think for most athletes they're fun. I think a much more appropriate question is was it worth it? And would you do it again? Yes, it was worth it. Yes, I would do it again. I would train just as hard or harder than I did. But fun? No, it's not. It's not fun. It's very stressful. It's very hard. It's exhausting. There's so much pressure. There's so much going on. But was it worth it? Yes.
And because that was kind of the question too was if you would do it again, and it sounds like you would. So
Yes.
speaking of the 1988 Olympics, I mean, watching it, I was traumatized as a kid because I was pissed because I felt like you guys deserved that medal. So what, tell what happened in the 1988 Olympics, this controversy.
So at the time, we were they built apartment style housing, and we went through our compulsory round, and we did well. I fell on the handstand quarter pirouette on beam, and Shelley Stack fell on the clear hip on bars. I believe that was compulsory. It's not in her optional routine. I mean, that's how long ago it was. Yeah. Compulsories, yeah. And I had a good beam routine.
Hope Spivey fell in team, but go ahead.
Okay. So I see, and I don't even remember that. It's in the heat of the moment. Sometimes, especially when you're 17 years old, or half my team was 14, you're kind of on survival mode a little bit. But, we did well. We left the competition, we left the floor, and we were in third place. And we went back to our housing, and it was a 2-story, nice apartment. I had a room, Kelly Garrison had a room, and I don't remember if Hope had her own or if she was with someone. And then the Corella kids were sharing kind of in bunks, and Rhonda was there as the first alternate. And Marta came in late at night. I mean, we had been back for hours and hours and hours. And she called us all to the railing, and we're looking down over the second story, and she walked in and she said, "Well, girls, you got a 5-10 deduction. You're in fourth place now." And we just stood there, and we didn't, Rhonda was very close to Marta as she still is. But the way I remember it very clearly, and others may disagree, but I very clearly remember her saying, "Rhonda, you stayed on the platform. You cost us 5/10." And she laid it all on Rhonda's feet. And Rhonda said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I pulled the board. I did exactly what Bella told me to do. And I went in the corner of the podium, and I got out of the judge's way." And Marta said, "No, no, 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 no. You cannot be on the podium. You cost us 5/10." And she blamed her. Jeez. Rhonda was, keep in mind, she was 17 years old, the same as the rest of us in the first alternate. And maybe my mind's playing tricks on me, but that is exactly how I remember that happening. And then not another word was said. Nothing else. We just went back in our rooms, closed the doors, and went to bed.
Did you all talk to each other about it as teammates?
No.
No.
Not that I remember. Mm-mm. Nope. And we really didn't. We went to training the next day, and we went to the meet 2 days after that. That's
so. What did anybody ever talk about it to you again at the Olympics?
So Kelly Garrison was our team captain and the oldest on the team, and had been through the most in her career at that point because she had been around longer. Big difference when you're 21 years old versus 14 years old. So at one point, we, her and I walked up to one of the Russians I don't even know if he was a coach. I can't remember his name. I'd know him if I saw a picture, and we finally said, "We want to talk to you." And he totally brushed us off and said, "There's nothing I can do," and walked away. Kelly and I did an interview from Bryant Gumbel's desk and just said, "We got this team deduction, and no one wants to do it." I have since, and really kind of recently within the past year, had a good conversation with Mike Jackie about what they tried to do afterwards, yada, yada, going on. And how it kind of continued a little bit like Jordan Childs's, medal on floor from this last Olympics, just an ongoing. It reminds me of that
and of the Australia Olympics, the 2000 Olympics.
Yes, with Walt, right. So, and he said, I think Mike felt it was important to try to explain to me, we spent a long time going through every level of the FIG. And at this point, I'm like, I'm over 50 years old, Mike. I got over this a long time ago. Would it be cool to have a bronze medal? Yes. Am I happy that I survived the Olympics and that now at this point it's a cherished memory? Yes. One of the most annoying questions people ask, the only thing people tend to ask is, "Oh, what medal did you get?" So it's hard to say, "Oh, we were fourth." It would
I
really be
would say
nice to
bronze.
say we were
I'd
third.
be like,
But, well, you can't though. You can't.
do you feel they would ever give you the
Um,
bronze because of what
no,
happened?
no. Mm-mm.
Do you feel they misused the law or misused the code in that moment?
Absolutely. There were so many rumors floating around about what happened, who was to blame. But that's not just gymnastics, and you're from a competitive world. So, and I don't really know competition dance. My daughter did it for a couple of years and it was wonderful, but she was younger. But the Olympics, every single quad has these amazing backstories about whatever, cheating, doping, this, that, and the other. And the 88 Olympics were full of it. We had the boxing controversy. We had Greg Louganis hitting his head. We had runners that ended up testing positive a year later. There's so much going on. I'll be honest. I kind of feel like I went on to a great career in college, and only the diehard fans really want to know what actually happened. Most people, if you say, oh, well, we were fourth, but we should have been third, then it just kind of sounds like you're whining. And
I think because I actually watched it in real time. I remember being
like you are completely different.
Oh, I would get up at 2 in the morning.
I hate saying that to people.
I would get up at 2 in the morning and watch it, because it wasn't streamed, everyone.
Yeah.
It was 1988, and I think at that time they didn't even, it was only networks too. So like just the network kind of
it's probably whatever NBC showed at the time.
Yeah.
You saw. Yeah.
And I watched it in real time and was like, this is completely unfair, which it is. And I'm sorry about that. And like I said, all of us fans that know about it think it is really unfair. And I've always said that.
Yeah. Well, I remember at the end of the meet when we were done, and for some reason I remember vault still finishing and watching some of the gymnasts on vault from East Germany, all of a sudden, taking 3 steps out of vault and scoring like 9/8. And just thinking it's really possible this probably was just rigged from the start one way or another.
Because you all weren't, because you came off of the 1987 Worlds where you weren't in the top 4.
Nope. So, Worlds was really tough. And again, there are all kinds of things going on there too. I mean, what I heard, and this is only what I heard, was that Bella was really fighting to try to be named the head Olympic coach, and they weren't going to do that yet. The U.S. wasn't going to do that. It was still Don Peters at the time. And, we were all still under the control of our own coaches. There was no camp type situations like came along later. And when Bella wasn't given full control of the team the way he wanted and to train us the way he wanted for Worlds, he said, fine, I've got some of the best gymnasts in the country and we're just going to focus on 88. And, 87 is not going to be our focus. That's how it was explained to me. Rhonda did well. Christy and Phoebe, didn't do particularly well. And he was completely unconcerned about that. He said, my focus is the Olympics and we're going to be fine.
How did you do at the How did you do at Worlds?
I made all around finals. Yeah, I did well. I made all around finals. I think I was like 22nd or something, but, and I can't remember what Rhonda finished, but yeah, we were 6th as the country. I mean, it was rough. Like we needed our best kids and we needed to be at full strength and we weren't. And there were just a lot of rumors why. And now that was the year that they put Greg Marsden in from the University of Utah to kind of try to be neutral. So it was to sort of try to placate or to bridge this gap between Don Peters at Scats and Bella Crowley and maybe a little bit of the Parkettes. I don't know so much if Bill and Donna Strauss would have been named like the head coach, but Donna ended up being our co-head women's coach. And Donna Kozo was, but everyone's individual coaches were there. So Greg Marsden was kind of thrown in thinking the idea was to have a neutral person that could help everybody get along. And no one got along. It was a disaster. It
was a different time, everyone that's listening. It was very political. I mean, extreme. Do you feel that that would happen to a team now? What happened to you all? at the Olympics?
No, I think, no, it's a completely different world now. And the US, so it changed, after 88, I don't know. I went to college and ignored elite for a long time. And I'm not sure when they really made the Corella Ranch the main training center. I don't remember if that was by 92 or if it took a little bit longer than that. And then eventually, Bella was named the national team coordinator and was kind of really got a lot of the control he wanted. That lasted for a long time, obviously. And then Marta took over. And then now I'm on the outside looking in, but it feels like it's in a good, healthy place, and I mean, anyone's.
As far as, so you mean USA or the FIG? Because that seemed like it was an FIG thing. So who took away the points? What judge was it?
Ellen Berger was the one at the Olympics.
And didn't her country end up getting a medal? And she was
from East Germany, yes.
I mean,
yes.
Do you see people like this is so Melissa?
The rumors went crazy.
Well, yeah, and I think too. Also, that's when I believe. No offense to 84, but 84 was a boycott. So this is just me.
Sure.
I feel 88 is when America started being more of a threat to them. Those top three teams in USA Gymnastics.
Well, yeah. And there was so much going on still with Bella and the former Soviet Union. I mean, he came over here and had such success with Mary Lou, training her for 2 years, not her whole career, but 2 years, and 84. And there were a lot of rumors about things still going on back behind it was still the Iron Curtain, really, going on just behind the scenes. We had no control over that. There was nothing we could do except show up and train and do well. I don't know if what happened in 88 was retaliation against Bella personally, or if it was just simply that, an Eastern Bloc country wrangling to get, to hold on for one last little bit of control over the U.S.
Yeah, because that was their last time.
We had Russia and we had Romania. Yeah, they had Russia, they had Romania. They still had they still had the backing of the powerhouses. So I don't know. How
were you able to, because you all did great, considering I just watched it right now as I was preparing and, making some breakfast. But knowing that they took away that, how were you able to walk in and what did you do to do some amazing performances in team finals?
I don't remember it having any effect. I mean, we were literally told this in kind of a matter of fact, little bit blaming terms. And then it was basically, you just go out and fight. That's all you can do. It's not like we had this vengeance, like, oh, we got to kill them. We got to get 5/10 back. No one thought about that. I don't think. If anyone was thinking along those terms, it would have maybe been Kelly, just as the oldest one who is maybe most in tune to other things that could go on just from a maturity standpoint. But, no, that didn't really come into play.
I'm not a big fan of the blaming, of course, but maybe it was good that they didn't dive in too much with you all as athletes in that moment, knowing they're going to have to go out there tomorrow and compete. So let's keep this as minimal as possible. But I did see at the end, right now watching, speaking of Kelly, like after she did her beam routine, her coach was pretty much crying in her arms. How did you all feel afterwards when you knew that medal was yours?
Super frustrated. But again, we just kind of went back. No one at the competition at the time, only the media even talked about it. I don't remember one coach saying one word about it to us.
Were you ever able to go back? I mean, we're just spectators and we're feeling it. So speaking of feelings, I'm sure as athletes, I know you're taught to disconnect because it can hurt you actually sometimes. Were you able to go back and whether it was in Utah and feel it or when you were older to feel it, or what was that experience like?
No, you can't go back and feel it. Nothing replaces having the medal in your hand. USA Gymnastics, they did a thing the next year and kind of had us back at, I don't remember if we were at championships or what, but we got these nice clocks and whatnot. And it's nice. I mean, it was a nice gesture, but it's not patronizing, but in a way it kind of is, because you can't replace just being able to say, yes, we got the bronze medal as a team. That will never come back. And we'll still talk about it. I personally have never heard anyone talk about it except Kelly. And she still, she will still kind of try to fight for it. At least I haven't talked to her for years, but I know it weighed really, really heavily on her because she was one that was a contender for a couple Olympics until finally 88 happened to her. The rest of us, this was our one and done shot, so we didn't have that history. And it really, really hit Kelly hard. And she continued that battle for a long time. But there was nothing. I mean, what are you going to do? Go back to East Germany after the wall's fallen and now they're a unified country and say, oh, by the way, the people that were in charge.
Or the Olympic Committee, they give out medals, they make them and give them to people when they've done wrong now.
Right.
So why
and
can't
Mike
they do that?
Jackie told me a year ago that they battled for 2 years to try to fix that. I don't know. Are you healed from it all? Have you moved on? Oh yeah. Like I said, I'm grateful that I was there. I was an underdog. It was a long shot. I'm not from a family of high level athletes. I could choose to go that path, but I don't want to. I still, when you're 54 years old now and people still say, oh, I remember you in the Olympics, that's an amazing thing. I'm not going to discredit that. And I had more fun and a more fulfilling career at the University of Utah doing gymnastics and in college. So, those are my memories. That's what I'm going to take away. Do I want to be able to say, how'd you do at the Olympics? Oh, we got a bronze medal, 100% every time. But no, I don't really, it's not like I take it to bed with me at night.
What's interesting too is fourth at that time with these amazing powerhouses is really good too. That's I think the part as a spectator was like, no, they deserve that. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. So what's one of your favorite memories in team finals?
I don't remember much from team finals. I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if dancers are the same way, but all of my friends, I'm pretty close to a lot of people from NC2A, and a lot of them were on the national team to some degree, whether it's just national team, world championships, Olympics, or whatever. And we all have major, major gaps in our memories, like lots of things we don't actually remember. I competed in 11 countries before I even graduated from high school, and I have spotty memories of all of them. Daniela will say the same thing. I have never had that conversation with Christy. I don't know, but there's so much that happened that at the time you're focused, and there is a little bit of survival mode going on. There really is. And you get through it and you do the best you can. But, from team finals, I remember walking in on compulsory day and looking around, and I don't know who gave me this advice, but just taking it in and being like, I can't believe I'm looking at, the banners around the gym, and the signs are crazy. But there's not much time to dwell on that. You set your bag down, you go to warm-ups, and you get on with it. Going into team finals, I remember walking into the gym. I remember being pretty apprehensive, but and feeling really the weight of the world on my shoulders and our shoulders. But I don't know that was specifically because of the team deduction or what place we were sitting in. It was just the fact that it was the freaking Olympics, and I don't know how. I mean, I almost think it'd be a shame to go to the Olympics and not feel that a little bit. Like, what kind of a robot would you have to be to not?
Well, no,
not
and I
feel
think
that,
that's what I always felt was. I don't know. You all are girls. There's been a lot of books about this too. You're just young girls. Is that part of disconnecting from emotion? Yes, as part of it is for safety too, I'm realizing, because you all were doing some dangerous stuff even back then. But you're not actors who are taught to feel, and that's you're taught. So to figure out these times too, do you feel now that gymnasts do that more, take it in more, similar to Simone Biles and Jordan
Yes.
Childs when they're at the Olympics?
I think it is so much healthier now. So completely different. And I credit Simone with a lot of that. With the food, with the body imagery, with all of it. The first gymnast too was so good that she could have a pretty hardcore life outside of gymnastics and be free to show it, and she couldn't be shut down for it. Because up until Simone, the gymnasts were still really towing the line with just this disciplined, kind of stony-faced, no emotion thing. If they're on the podium at the Olympics, you might see a few tears, but, or maybe right when the scores are announced, but still just overly stoic and machine-like. And Simone was so good that she could afford to get in trouble.
She was allowed to, yeah.
They couldn't say no. They couldn't, it's not like you're going to say, okay, you're not going to compete. But, as you know, a lot of gymnasts that were at some of the best in the world were constantly in fear of getting sent off a team or not placed on a team if they, for any reason, my ankle hurts, my back is,
countries, you competed around when communism, you would be standing next to these communist countries when theirs was possibly, are you going to eat? Is your family going to get money? So what was it like competing at that time with these powerhouses of the Soviet Union and Romania?
Oh, it was amazing, but we were hyper aware of that. So my generation was like the peak of the Cold War with Russia. And I was always kind of a newsy kind of kid. Like I don't know why. My favorite show when I was 6 was 60 Minutes. Like I was just weird that way. But I always kind of understood this tension between our countries. And my generation, we always did USA, USSR dual meets. So we really, and not so much with Romania, which, I'm good friends with Daniela now, but it was the Russians. And it was so intense, John. It's hard to even describe. We weren't allowed to talk to them. We would be in the bus with them. We wouldn't even be able to we wouldn't even say hi walking by to go sit down in the bus. We didn't eat together.
Who would tell you to do that? The coaches make sure they'd say you can't talk to them?
The coaches, I would say more on their side than ours. We were told that there were 2 KGB agents for every athlete in attendance and everyone, every coach, every judge, every delegate. We had full police escorts to and from the competitions, which is kind of crazy. Like at first you get in the bus and you think, there's a car accident or something up ahead. And then you realize those flashing lights are for your bus. You're like, whoa, this is really a big deal. We could not associate. And one of the first things that kind of broke through that and was really fun, and I think it was in '86, Vidal Sassoon sponsored one of the tours that we did after the meet. And we went to Beverly Hills and we all got like haircuts and hair treatments with Vidal. He was right there with us, with the Russians and the Americans in Beverly Hills. And then we went to Disneyland. And I have a really fun picture with some of the Soviets and Valery and, they were so good and so fun at the time, and the Americans and us, and Vidal at Disneyland. And I was told within a couple of years after that, and the athletes believed that none of what we had in America was real, that they would tear down entire cities and rebuild them as we were going to tour stops, because we really didn't have this much in America. Our Kmarts weren't real. Our big box stores weren't real. Our department stores weren't real. That's not what America really was. They were just trying to show off. We were trying to brag. And the athletes didn't know any better. It sounds ridiculous, but it's how it was.
Here. Well, Valery lives here.
And we all, oh my gosh, we all get along. There's such cool people, and it's everyone. There's Chinese athletes, Romanians, Russians, and we literally weren't allowed to associate with them, and they weren't allowed to talk to us. But we get together and we share stories. They're the friendliest people you could ever meet. It's just amazing. But they really didn't believe that kind of we were who we are and they were who they were. That there was such a divide. It was really interesting. and they weren't allowed to associate. And the fear of if someone had defected, I think that was the fear, was that an athlete or an adult, coach, whatever, was going to defect. It would have been a major international incident. So
and then they'd go
it was a crazy time.
Amazing. Then what did you think of their gymnastics at the time too?
Oh, they were amazing. They were so good. And I remember watching 3 of the teeny ones, Yulia Cute and Lishenova, who's one of the best tumblers in the world, going down the side of the floor back in 1986, power hurdle, round off back handspring, double A, not even on the diagonal, down the sides of the floors. And I'm like, if I try as hard as I can, I'll make my full into my feet, and Daniela they have all the same stories.
She said that the floor that you all tumbled on is now the vaulting floor. So you all tumbled on what you all did, your floor exercises.
I think they were 2-inch springs. Now they're 4-inch. Yeah.
Is now the floor that they run for the vault.
I don't know I don't think they have springs under that, but yeah, like now there's a certain amount of ethofoam and everything's different. Now the ends of the beams are spring loaded, not really to aid with dismounts, but it absorbs some of the impact. It's more of an injury prevention thing than anything. But no, the equipment has come a long ways. And safety has come a long ways. Sting mats were not invented when I did gymnastics. And the cushy 4-inch throw mats weren't invented yet. It was either the big 8-inch, we're not allowed to call them crash mats, whatever, throw mats, or nothing, everyone.
That's why I quit. I was like, I'm going to take dance and wear tights next door. That seems 3 turns sound better than 3 twists. When was the last time you watched the YouTube of yourself on the Olympics?
Ooh, I don't like to watch myself. There's a few things I will watch if I know it went well. I think we're all our own worst critics. But yeah, no, I don't like to watch myself. I don't listen to myself talk. You just went into my body here and you just gave me my tummy. I'm not going to watch myself. I just watched it and you had a great meet in team finals, since I know you don't remember possibly and you don't watch, but you really had a great meet. It was exciting to watch you hit 4 for 4. I don't know why. I do remember feeling some pressure actually being off in team finals rather than, I think I felt it the very most the first day of compulsories. It kind of seems like that was the setup for what the next, week was going to bring. And just walking into that arena, it's tough. It's exciting, but it's tough. And for some reason, I think I felt a little bit more comfortable with the exception of vault, which I was terrified to do, of actually missing the vault and hurting myself. I think I was more comfortable on that team optional finals than I was at compulsories. I don't know. I don't know why.
It's the Olympics. It reminds me a little bit. When I danced on the Oscars, it was 1 billion people. I remember them telling me that. So I'm pretty sure it was 1 billion people that are watching you. So, you're doing a lot harder stuff. What was your relationship like with Bella and Marta?
There wasn't one. There really wasn't one. He kind of quietly, backhandedly, tried to get me to train with him. We thought about it for a while. I would not, things happen the way they happen, John. And I maybe would have been better had I gone to Bella's for a short amount of time, but I would not have lasted. I would have been injured. I already had torn cartilage in my wrist. I had a bad back. I had shin splints. Everything was hurting. I think his confidence would have been really good for me, but I don't think I would have lasted until Olympic trials. And I feel like my coaches with Mark Lee and Tammy Biggs, because of them, they were hard coaches, but they were kind. And this is a great lesson for anyone listening. You can be really hard and kind. And at Olympic trials, Sabrina Marr was possibly better than I was. And she dropped out with an injury after compulsories. And Do Yamashiro was potentially, could have knocked me out of 6th place. And she dropped out after the first day with injuries. To me, that's the only way you really lose, is to not be trained in a way that you can't even get through the meet. I mean, I don't know how that to me would have been harder than losing the Olympic bronze medal. I got to Olympic trials, took my Advil, made it so I couldn't feel my shins and was able to compete hard. And I credit my coaches for that, because they never pushed me to the point where I literally had to quit. And I know gymnasts as young as 12 that were forced out of the sport and had to quit because of injuries. And I can't think of anything worse than pushing a gymnast to where their back is so bad at 12 years old that they have to quit.
This is good for the dance moms and dancers to be hearing, because we deal with this in dance with the overstretching, just training them too hard. And then I even will tell some of the moms, I'm like, that girl is good at 10. You're not going to see her when she's 14. She's going to quit or be injured,
Yep.
And so,
and I felt that. So as a parent, I had one gymnast, well, both my girls did gymnastics. One did it straight up through college and one quit when she was in 6th grade. But with my older girl, she had a bad back. And at one point I said, I don't know if you can keep going. And she also loved to dance, and she was a good dancer. And she chose gymnastics, which she competed in dance.
The one who did the competitions for dance?
Yes. In 2nd grade, she was going to 9 hours of dance and 9 hours of gymnastics a week. I thought it was going to kill both of us, her especially. I had no idea at that point that dance was that intense, that young. I thought I was helping her gymnastics, but I thought I had a dancer on my hands. And when I quickly realized after 1 year that you can't do both with as good as she was at both, I thought she was going to choose dance, but she chose gymnastics. I don't know that she loves to dance still to this day. She was a good dancer. But I was very afraid at one point that she was going to have to quit. And we had to put her down a path where her training was limited, because I was so scared with one of her coaches in particular that she was going to be forced out of it at 15 years old. And that thought just tied me in knots. So yeah, you can't, what's the point of peaking at 13? When
what the point
you
is,
want to do it professionally as a 20-something-year-old, I think that's crazy.
Because they'd rather win. They want to see their kid win. I mean, let's be real here. They like their kid being number one.
We all want our kids to win. I would like to think we're kind of getting past that. I don't know if we are. I think gymnast parents are doing better. I think coaches are doing better. I think our system is better.
Yeah, I think the system has gotten better because fortunately and unfortunately, you had to be forced to with all of the horrific things that went on in the system that adults that went on, and kids, they're just kids, they're just kids. So
gymnastics has had the ultimate reckoning. And I don't know how do you define digging yourself out of that? For those athletes that went through that period 5 years ago, they may never, hopefully they're, really in a good, empowered place now, but that's not fair to say. That's their own individual stories. But
I do
the awareness
see some gymnasts
is there.
Getting injured, though, that are in elite from being overworked still. But that's just my opinion. Really good ones are like, why aren't they at this? It's like, oh, they're injured. Well,
yeah.
Did you suffer from any injuries?
Okay. My injuries were all chronic, with the exception of a broken hand. And I missed the beam on a leap once, go figure. And I broke my hand. And I missed a trip to China, actually. I missed a trip to China for that one. But otherwise, they were just chronic. I had stress fractures in my back. I had torn cartilage in my wrist. And I had shin splints for 6 years. That would hurt so bad. I would look down the runway and I'd be like, I don't know. I can't punch that board hard. How am I going to land on my feet? I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to land flat on my head. So I did deal with those. Where I was lucky is I never had that really major one-time injury like the torn ACL or the dislocated elbow, the broken bones. I didn't really have one that kept me out.
Because you had coaches that were, I'm using this word because you did, kind and knew maybe not to overwork you?
I'll be honest. I think I was lucky. I think gymnasts, dancers, I think all athletes, you can be trained very well and still blow out your knee. Still, you
True
can
too.
follow your physiologist,
That's true.
and still
I'm back
blow your Achilles.
back to the winning, and I feel I can say this to you because you started off the podcast saying you're wearing red, but you're not wearing red because of that reason, like other people wear red, is that there is a battle of systems still, of winning and being kind, and that trickles down from everything. And I think we're in the burst of it. And I know dances, I've always said this, dance is a burning inferno, competitions waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But you see more that are saying, no, that's not good way of teaching. We're going to do it this way. And, or we're not going to go to this dance competition. So that's just kind of, it's good I like when the moms hear someone like you because you won, and in their eyes, you won, you made it. So when you say that, they listen because they go, oh, okay, well, she was good, so we're going to listen to her.
Everything about your sport periodization is taking your end point, whatever that is, whether it's the Olympics or your senior year of college or as a professional dancer in your, late 20s, whatever, and you work backwards. And you got to figure how far back, can anyone sustain anything from the age of 10 to 25? I mean, that's crazy. The issue with gymnastics right now is no one can afford college. And the scholarships are so valuable. It used to be that your college sports was just this wonderful addition to your life. And college wasn't as unattainable 25 years ago as it is now. My daughter's scholarship to Cal was $65,000 a year. I couldn't put her in my university.
Is that nothing to pay for college?
It's insane. No, it's insane. If she were to go, let's say I put my daughter in at the University of Utah as a resident, and we're looking at $8,000 a year versus an out-of-state kid coming in to the University of Utah, it's going to be in the 40s, and that's per year. That's not to get a degree. That's per year. It's, my older daughter got $250,000 worth of free education at one of the best universities in the world. And so there is a financial thing to college gymnastics where it's like, this is our ticket to a degree. And it's pretty easy, I think, to get really nervous about that. Like, my kid's 14. Is she good enough yet? We got to get to level 10 right now. I understand that. I appreciate that. But the bottom line is, they've got to be at their healthiest as a senior in high school, not in junior high. So you've got to have the discipline to follow that path of longevity.
What are your dreams now?
Oh, gosh. Right now I do personal training, and it's with a largely older clientele, and I love them. They are fantastic. I am not too young anymore. Mentally, I'm probably pretty young, and I still act like a child. But I'm feeling my age, and I would like to see. You need to keep moving when you get older. To all the moms out there, you got to keep moving with your kids. Keep moving. Keep the muscular strength up. Keep your endurance up, but stay strong as you get older. And I would love to be, as of right now, I don't have a job or anything with the LA Olympics. That would be fun if someone wants to get me out there. I know you'd think I'd have all the connections in the world, but so do a lot of people.
Right down the street. It's at the crypto. I know that's where they're doing gymnastics at the crypto.
Yeah. And Salt Lake City is hosting the next Winter Olympics. And I will tell you, the Winter Olympians in Utah aren't super enamored with the Summer Olympians here. We're not as cool as the Winter Olympians that live up in Park City. So that will be fun to hopefully be involved a little bit with the 2032 Olympics that are in Salt Lake. And otherwise, gosh, I've got a 20-year-old, junior in college. So I'm still a little bit of a mom. She's not totally independent yet. And I'm clinging to the last couple years of that. And it's interesting, I've been single for 11 years, so I'm on my own, and I don't know if I'll ever get married again. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I'm pretty good at going with the flow. I just went to Croatia and Greece by myself for 2.5 weeks and had the time of my life.
By yourself?
Yep. Most of it by myself. I met up with some friends in Greece, but for some people are so surprised by that. They're like, how did you do that? I'm like, it was awesome.
I'm not surprised by you doing that, but I mean, you're bold and fierce.
I did. I rented a car. I drove 4 hours from Split up to Zagreb by myself. I had the overnight ferry.
You said your mom was a single mother. I'm sure she was a good example of that.
Yep. My mom's super independent. I come from a line of pretty independent and strong women, all who believed firmly in education and being able to support yourself. So yeah, it doesn't seem weird to me until other people tell me that's weird. I'm like, it was awesome. I got up when I wanted to get up. I ate when I wanted to eat. I got drinks when I felt like it. I went into every store I wanted to go in. I didn't have to check with someone and see, if it was okay. I mean, I liked being on my own, and I never thought of it as unusual until people told me it was unusual.
Outside of gymnastics, thank you. And I love how much you use your voice for and advocate for minority groups. And I love that you do that, because
thanks.
You're such an amazing athlete, and the way you look is beautiful. You could be their poster child, so I love that you are our poster child.
Well, I'm not particularly religious. I know, I follow you. Sorry, my dog wants to jump up here. That's okay.
What's your dog's name?
This is Duck. Say hi, Duck. There's Duck.
But you have a cat too, or was that
No, I had another dog that I lost a week and a half ago. So I'm in the process of finding another little shelter animal that needs a home. But yeah, that was a bad couple days a few weeks ago. But back to it. I feel like I can look at things pretty head on, and I'm very practical, and we're in America, people are allowed to live how they want to live. And this, to me, I don't want to bring this into a political show, but the party of little government has become, we're going to rule every minute of your lives. And I have a really hard time with that. And I have so many gay friends that are the most wonderful people I know, who have been there through thick and thin with me. And it doesn't make any sense that they feel persecuted to me. I don't get that. So yeah, I get my hair on the back of my neck raises pretty easily. And I don't, why be quiet? I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm not afraid of stating, people ask all the, how do you dare say that? I'm like, how do you not? How do you not? I just don't think that's right. That wasn't how my mom raised me. That's not how she was. She's an advocate for underserved populations. She's a master of social work. And her job was in Title I schools. So as a social worker, so that's kind of second nature. I might come across as kind of preachy sometimes or whatever, but I think the hypocrisy that I'm seeing right now. Oh, thank you.
I think you come across as a protector, not preachy.
Well, the hypocrisy I'm seeing makes me sick. It makes my blood boil. I'm not in public office, so I don't have to worry about getting votes. I don't have to worry about what people think of me.
No,
and I don't.
We need people in all forms. I had a teacher tell me once, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised that you're like this, considering how you competed as a gymnast, what you threw. This is just how it is. And all the strength that you've used. So remember that, everyone, how you even react to someone talking negatively about other people, it does trickle down into your work, into your dance, into your gymnastics. I'm a believer in that. So, okay, now we're going to do a couple of little questions. Hopefully these are fun for you. Favorite gymnast?
Natalia Lishenova.
Oh, you already said that already. And I would think she's your era, but
Yeah, she is. We competed together, and she's a very, very nice person. First of all, but she was just so good and so little and could do so much. And I don't know. She was always
great. And she could
stood
dance.
Out to me. I mean, there were rumors that she was training to double back on beam. Like, that's how good she was.
She definitely had that Simone Biles power, for sure. I could see her I'm surprised she never threw a double off beam.
She probably could have, and they were probably training it. I wouldn't be surprised.
What was your favorite event?
Bars. Bars scared me a little bit more than other events, but I liked bars. For some reason, I just understood how to swing. It wasn't, I didn't try to muscle my way through bars. I just kind of naturally understood swing. So I enjoyed bars.
And maybe because of that feeling too. You said you liked the feeling that it gives you. You know, I'm sure releasing a bar and catching it is exhilarating. Favorite dance movie?
I guess Flashdance. Well, I don't know.
I mean, that's an amazing dance movie.
I can only, it's.
You know that Cynthia Rhodes in it. She was a gymnast.
I did not.
I mean, the one who she did Manhunt. I just found this out because I had someone on. Everyone, if you want to listen, she was in Xanadu. I had her on a couple episodes ago.
Okay.
And she ended up being in Dirty Dancing. She played Patrick Swayze's girlfriend in it. She was really good at dance because she was so flexible. Back to you. If you could do a solo back then, when you were in your peak at a dance competition, what song would it be to, and what would you wear?
Oh, I don't know. I'm so bad with music and pop.
Madonna, Borderline, Whitney Houston.
No, I Have the Tiger. Probably. Ooh, I was so obsessed with that when I first heard it. Yeah,
I could see that.
We grew up. We didn't. I didn't grow up with any money, so I didn't have like a record or a tape collection. I literally listened. I got to listen to the radio, and that was it.
That would be good flow routine music too.
I think there was an era where that was pretty overused.
Did
Top Gun, I like those classics. They're classics for a reason. They're just fun.
Did you do American Anthem?
I was in the background in American Anthem in the movie. Yep.
But you were doing you were doing the event, right?
And are you talking about the movie? When they filmed the movie American Anthem? Yeah. So my club went down to Arizona when they were filming with Mitch Gaylord and Janet Jones. And in the competition scene, somewhere in the background, I'm a blur going by on balance beam when Janet was supposedly on floor. But that was fun. Oh, that was fun. We got to miss a week of school and just go play. It was amazing. It was amazing.
American Anthem. It's up there with Flashdance. I'm sorry. It really is. Janet Jones is a former dancer and actually she would compete in dance. This trophy that I have behind me from a competition I won, she won it too. And she was the big deal that got out of dance, but she's a beautiful dancer and go watch it. What's one of the boldest things you have done?
Oh gosh. I had a real reckoning after my freshman year of college and really had a tough time that first year because I was coming straight off the Olympics and the Olympics were over in October of that year. And I went straight to college in the middle of my senior year of high school, did high school and college at the same time and competed as a freshman and really, really struggled. And I think I could have, would have been so easy to quit. And so easy just to say, I'm an Olympian. I don't need this. I really look back and I'm really proud of myself for coming through a couple of pretty tough, personally tough things where I really didn't have my act together at all and was in kind of an unforgiving crowd for that and said, no, in 3 years from now, I'm going to have to be done because there is no more after you graduate from college. That's it. And I'm going to give it everything I have. Because that was, I really had to do some soul searching if that was going to be worth it or not. And, more recently I was kind of attacked on Twitter by a former gymnast who we don't see eye to eye on certain things. And I had to decide if I was going to really stand up for myself and fight back, which I wanted to do. And that was every cell in my body wanted to, go after her. But I decided not to prolong it and to not let that, go away. You don't own me and you're not going to get attention off of me. And so I kind of just, took the criticism from the peanut gallery and let it go And that was actually really hard. But I think that's one example where I didn't fight back maybe the way that I instinctually would have, but it was also empowering because it didn't give anyone any fuel for their fire. And so in that way, I felt like I was controlling the narrative more than if I had just continued to battle and give these people fodder for, in my opinion, their BS, for days or weeks. So
when you just said battle, because there's a saying that in your defensivelessness, my safety lies. So by you being defensive, that's where your power is. So that makes sense. Was it about gymnastics or other things?
It was kind of a trans and women's sports issue. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you for being bold. Thank you for being open and vulnerable, and some amazing gymnastics that many generations will see.
Thank you. Like I said, I'd do it all over again. I loved it. But I had coaches that were hard and kind. And I was a hard worker, but I was also a kind person. So, you can be kind and work hard and have it all.
Good words to end on. Thank you, Missy.
Thanks, John.
Thank you so much for listening to Dance Dad with John Corella. Thank you to everyone at Hivecast for all that you do. And if this episode meant something to you, please share it and subscribe. Also, you can follow Dance Dad with John Corella on all platforms. But most importantly, remember to be bold and be fierce.